I'm going to watch some of my most viral videos and react to your comments. I've got my friend Augusto here.
Hi.
And he's kindly taken the time to pick some of my top videos and actually go through the comments and pick out some comments for me to respond to. So I'm not sure what's coming, but let's check it out. I'm ready. That's my little Twitch reaction when I think I'm gonna choke. So eating is very stressful for me. I'm usually very tense, fear of choking and stuff like that, especially in an unusual situation, because I'm thinking about, oh, an ambulance couldn't get here, certainly. So yeah, even thinking about it stressed me out, but I'm not letting that stop me. My body knows how to eat, how to swallow, so I'm just showing this. Yeah, okay, so I think you get the idea. I made this video on a trip to, I think this was Greece. Was it? I can't remember. I can't remember which trip this was. This is no, that's not the Sardinia one. I can't remember where this is. Because I remember this was on a really big cliff, and I still have this eating problem, even to this day. It's just it's overthinking when I eat, and I get that sensation if it feels like I'm going to choke, and then my throat is very tense when I'm eating, and that's still, I find it very difficult to eat in an unfamiliar place, or even eat when I'm home alone, or anything like that. And so, this video is quite hard for me to film because I was putting more pressure on eating as well, and I was away from home. It's not a fun video. I've done a few of these videos now, the eating thing, and I had never seen anyone talk about eating issues before. I had spoke to my therapist, and she did mention that it is kind of common, other people have dealt with it, but I hadn't actually seen it, so that's why I shared this video. Let's see the comments. Yeah. Starving kids and people would gladly eat it, no problem. But you're here and can't even swallow properly. I mean, I see where this guy's coming from, but it's I think it's silly to compare situations like that, because a starving person might eat it just fine, but that doesn't mean that someone who's having an issue somewhere else it doesn't matter. So obviously I'd rather just be able to eat it normally, right? And I wouldn't just do that for fun in that way. So I don't think it's I'd say a fair comparison, if that makes sense. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it is something that I'm just working on and trying to get better at. I'm not complaining about it. I'm not saying, oh, look at all this food that I have that I can't eat. I'm just saying, look, I have a lot of anxiety and it manifests itself in different ways. Sorry, but that's such an embarrassing... People can have a phobia about anything. It just depends on the meaning or the focus you put onto a certain aspects of things. So I definitely wouldn't think it's embarrassing, and you'll see from how many views this video actually got, the number of people that could actually relate to that and had the similar experience showed that it actually was kind of a normal thing and not something to be embarrassed about is I think one of the key takeaways of that video. You always describe anxiety symptoms that nobody talks about and that make me feel crazy. Thank you so much for sharing this. It happens to me all the time. You're not alone. See? Exactly. That's the point of the video. So that's a really good comment. So you get a few negative comments, but it's always, these are the ones that I kind of try to focus on, and these are the ones that, mean the most to me, because it's easy to say something negative, but the whole point of me sharing that video, and I would rather not share that video for these people that find it embarrassing, but I don't mind if it feels embarrassing to someone, because there's someone out there who will get something from watching it. Seeing someone else go through the same thing, it makes them feel less crazy, let's say. I'm going to continue sharing stuff like this no matter what anyone says. This is exactly me. I searched for so long trying to find answers. You have given me understanding answers, inclusivity and hope. I don't even have much of a response to that. That's probably a too nice comment. Just because I don't feel like I give that much. Because to be honest, I'm just filming what I'm going through anyway. It helps me in that moment to get through it, knowing that someone is going to get something from it. It's also good for me to see this comment, to see someone else dealing with the similar thing. So yeah, that's an amazing comment. Wow.
It's a double hit here.
What a weak source. So this is satire, right? No, it's not satire. What a weak source. I mean, whatever you want to say. I'm just sitting there filming what is happening anyway, and it's just like, it's just how it is. If you want to call it weak, go ahead. But I think personally, if I was weak, I wouldn't even be filming it or doing it. I wouldn't have went on the holiday. I wouldn't have put myself outside of my comfort zone. I wouldn't have shared that with anyone. So yeah, maybe it's a bit weak, but I don't think so. This is sad. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a little bit sad because it's frustrating for me. But luckily, it used to be a lot worse, and it's getting. I mean, I'm getting way better at this over time. I've been in therapy about it. I'm doing stuff to make progress, and it's people watching it is apparently being helpful for them. So it's sad, but it's turning positive. Mate, just swallow. God, this generation are so weak-minded. So I'll address the just swallow first. Yes, but when it comes to anxiety, let's say. So first of all, anxiety is a normal thing. Everyone has it. I have a test, I'm feeling anxious, right? Or a job interview, I'm feeling anxious. When you have an anxiety disorder, you have like a disproportionate level of anxiety, and it's like it feels uncontrollable. There's like nothing you can do about it. And when that focuses onto one certain aspect, so someone who's claustrophobia or something, and they are scared of enclosed spaces, their body is having that physical response to the idea of being in a place where they can't escape, or a place where they feel trapped, or a place where, they can't move or get out. And they are going into fight or flight, and they're having like hormones released, adrenaline released, shortness of breath, all this kind of sensations are happening just of an idea or a thought or a possibility that something might happen. So when your anxiety then focuses on something as mundane and as simple as eating and swallowing, what happens is your mind is now attaching to what should be automatic sensation of swallowing that you don't think about. But that level of fear and overthinking, kind of hyper-focus, takes over, and now that sensation of swallowing doesn't feel automatic anymore. It feels like something you have to be very careful about, and you're noticing all of that food in the different areas of your mouth and the back of your throat, and you don't know how much you're supposed to chew it, or I have to swallow now, and what if I choke on it? And you start overthinking, and you start actually having physical trouble swallowing because of the amount of physical anxiety that is happening. And that's a relation to being stuck in a thought cycle, which is then basically fueling your body's threat response. And so now an automatic thing in your body feels like something that is a threat. So it's the most common thing I can compare it to is when people feel shortness of breath, or one of the most common anxiety and panic symptoms is, I can't breathe. I feel like I have to control my breathing. It's exactly the same thing happening. Oh, I feel like I have to control my swallowing. It's risky to swallow. Oh, I feel like I have to control my breathing. I'm going to stop breathing. I can't breathe. It's just depends what the anxiety is focusing on. And once you actually have a let's say a target, it's very hard to break it and to say, oh, just swallow. If you've never thought about that, then it's easy to just swallow. If you have now been hyper-focused on that, it's not so easy. You have to kind of relearn how to forget to think about it. And so the part about the generation being weak-minded, I think it's important to remember anxiety has always existed. I think we're just now kind of are aware and open about it. For me, I haven't eaten solid foods in almost 4 years, but seeing this makes me feel hopeful. I want to feel normal again. That just proves it right there. Look, someone saying they haven't eaten solid foods in 4 years because of this issue. I didn't even know anyone else had this issue. I kind of felt like it was just me. I never heard anyone talk about it. And that's why I think it's important to share this kind of stuff. So someone else is going to read that comment, watch the video, and feel like they are going to feel not alone. And that can even help them, in reaching out for help. What if they were afraid to tell someone because they thought, what are people going to think? Well, they're going to think there's something wrong with me, they think I'm crazy, or what if there is something wrong with me? Well, now seeing this, hopefully some people are able to talk about it openly, and I want to feel normal again. I mean, that's what we all just want to be able to feel, and eat happily, easily like everyone else does. It's really annoying when it's something so like mundane or simple that everyone does, but we find it so difficult. That's one of the things about anxiety that I kind of dislike the most, because I know that I have nothing to be anxious about, but that's kind of the point. That's why it's more frustrating. If I had something to be anxious about, I'd be anxious about it and I'd deal with it and fix whatever the problem was. When there's not necessarily an external thing that's threatening, if there's a fire in the house, go put out the fire, right? And then you feel calm. When you feel always on the edge and there's no simple thing to just get rid of it, it's very frustrating, and it leads you to struggle with doing normal things. That's kind of the point. That's what we're trying to educate people about. It's not just, oh, you're scared or you're this and that. No, it's a real problem that has to be helped like anything else. I struggled badly with this for many years. It can feel so lonely. I've been doing ERP therapy for the last 9 months and I've made tremendous progress. You can beat this. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I always love the supportive comments from people. I am getting much better. I've been eating a lot better, and I've been going, more places, getting out of my comfort zone. Before, I would never eat at home. I mean, I would never eat out. I would never eat at home alone. But now I'm kind of getting over those and just getting more used to it. It's I still struggle with it a bit, but it's just getting better every day. The more I just put myself out there and push myself. So let's do the next video. I have an anxiety disorder and I'm drinking this Coke knowing that because of the caffeine, I will feel worse, I will feel more anxiety symptoms, and I will get a load of heart palpitations. But I'm keeping in mind that that's all it is. I'll feel worse, I'll feel more anxiety symptoms, and I'll get some heart palpitations. But these are all normal and expected things. And the more I try and avoid them, the more I tend to focus on them. So whatever you're doing, if you're doing something that scares you, or if you're just facing the day, whatever feelings that come up for you, yes, they are real, and yes, they matter. But know that in this moment, you're safe. Anxiety can't hurt you. It's not your enemy, and you can keep going despite those feelings and symptoms that you feel. Take care. So yeah, it's also very cringy. I always find it so it's so weird seeing myself. But I like that video because I think I was just having a day where I was having some really bad palpitations, and I just was like, well, okay, it's come to the point where now I'm just doing things kind of on purpose that I know might make me anxious, just to show myself that it's okay. All my life, when I've been feeling at the worst, is when I've been not doing anything or like hiding or trying not to feel anxious. So I just got to the point like, okay, it's just time to get going and feel the anxiety. That's it. Let's go. Thanks to his videos, I got better. After 3 years, I feel better. I drink coffee knowing I will feel worse, but I know it will go away. See, I love that. That's exactly the message. This person obviously enjoys a coffee in the morning. Well, I don't know if they drink it in the morning, maybe they drink it in the evening. But they know that they're going to feel worse, but they know like it'll go away. It doesn't matter. It doesn't stop them from doing things. And that's exactly when you can kind of stop that fear-seeking mind to say, oh, got to watch out for how I'm going to feel, watch out for how I'm feeling, how my palpitations come. If you know you're going to feel worse, you don't need to watch out for it. You just actually just live the life and you won't even notice it as much. So that's really good. I always get this comment and it makes me so annoyed. Like, why not get medicated? Okay, firstly, you don't know if I have or have not been medicated. For transparency, I have been medicated on various different medications. I've tried SSRI, I've tried SNRI, and I've tried benzos. All of the three, do I recommend them? I can't tell you. Only your doctor can tell you that. So make sure to check with your GP about any treatments, whether that's medication therapy, blah, blah, blah. But seriously, why not get medicated as a comment? It just sounds a bit rude. why not try medication? Might sound better if you want to be a bit more polite. Medicated just sounds, I don't know, sounds a bit weird. But again, as I was saying, I have tried medication. I don't take medication now. I know people that, say medication saved their life. I know people that, didn't have a great experience with medications. Sometimes it can take some trial and error. It depends on the person, and that's like really a personal thing that you should speak to your doctor about. In my case, my choice to not use medication now seems to be fine because I'm getting better and better all the time. I share a lot of this stuff, but you don't see my whole life. Yeah, I'm just a little bit like, the assumption in this comment is ridiculous. Get over it. I mean, that is what we're all trying to do, and that is what I'm trying to do with these videos, and this whole get over it mindset. Like, if you tell someone they broke their leg, you don't say get over it. Next comment. Let's go to the next.
Go over that comment.
Yeah, I'm over that comment. That's a good one. I stopped drinking anything with caffeine in it for ages, but now just started to do some exposure therapy. Great video, by the way. Yeah, that's literally basically what you're doing when you do something like this, if you've been avoiding it. So let's say caffeine, take the caffeine as an example. Caffeine will cause you to have palpitations, most likely. It might make your heart race a little bit. You might feel some depersonalization is common with caffeine. But that's just physiological response that caffeine does to your body. It doesn't mean anything bad. And because those responses happen to be the same that you get when you're anxious or panicking, you interpret all those feelings as something bad because you interpret panicking and feeling anxious as something bad. In reality, none of those are bad. We only feel anxious to prepare ourselves for some danger. Whether the danger comes or not, your brain doesn't care about that. It just wants, I need to be prepared. But we just need to teach ourselves we don't need to be prepared all the time. And one of the ways to do that is to do exposure therapy. Feel those feelings without interpreting them in that way, and you kind of can become accustomed to those feelings and kind of break that cycle. Because when you're afraid of the feelings themselves, it just makes you afraid and more anxious, and that causes you to have more of these fight or flight feelings. Yeah, so exposure therapy is like probably the key thing that I kind of talk about and show. Your words keeps me alive. For those who anxiety disorder, be strong. It's not only you who's suffering. Don't be afraid and hide it in a dark place. You've got to be strong. I mean, I think that's amazing. So I think that's important. Like, it's so easy to sometimes not talk about things or hide it, but I don't think that's the best way to go about it. If there's someone you can talk to, or even if you don't have anxiety, if you know someone who might or does, just being able to let them know that they can talk to you. And him saying your words keeps me alive, like, that's quite deep. I think it's just because he's feeling like heard, right? And this is what I was looking for when I was like in the darkest place. I didn't see really, maybe there was people talking about it, but I didn't really see much. And even when I go to a doctor or something, the doctor usually wasn't someone who had experienced anxiety before, and always felt shrugged off. So I think, yeah, it's important to talk about it. We are not afraid of life. We are afraid of the feelings. I think Jeff's got a good point there. Things happen every day, and we always underestimate our ability to like deal with things. And so when you're imagining, what if my car breaks down, or what if this happens, and you get that flush of feelings, that's what you're really afraid of. Because I can kind of say, if whatever you're worried about did happen, you'd probably be able to deal with it because you'd be there and you'd deal with it because you had to. But when you have to think about something in the future that hasn't happened yet, all these feelings are really the source of the problem. That's why it's anxiety disorder and not a problem disorder.
This is the video of you on public transport, and this one had I would say it was one of the most negative comments. Mostly, overwhelmingly, the comments are almost all positive. It's actually really hard to find negative comments, but this one was a little easier.
Oh, God. poor lady, the poor lady behind me. So I have two types of videos. One is like, well, I have a few types, but my main types of videos are like the real life when I'm actually doing something, like the vlog stuff. And then these ones where I'm kind of acting things that I do or used to do. So like when I was taking the tube, I was like noticing, I was speaking with my girlfriend, oh, I noticed that I do this, or she would notice that I do something like that. So I turn it into this little video, so people can like relate to it. Toughen up, dude. Realize no one is concerned about what you're doing. Great advice, but unfortunately, in this context, it's not really apply. Because so for me personally, I don't worry about people what they're thinking of me really. When I say like the bit where like, oh, stand near the exit, it's because I want to escape, not necessarily for social reasons, but then other people will worry about that for social reasons. I don't care so much what other people think about me, but I'm worried about, what if I have a heart attack in the middle of here? Oh, I'm feeling really overheated, I need to take this off. Oh, I need to sit down because what if I faint? Toughen up. I'm kind of just like, these toughen up things just go over my head. If I wasn't toughening up, I wouldn't have done that. You don't worry about going on the tube or the train or whatever. So it's not very tough when you go on the tube. I don't like it. It makes me very uncomfortable. And so the fact that I do it even though I feel like that is way more tough than you just, it doesn't matter to you. I don't know. Our ancestors went frontline in war. I am sure you can jump on a train. And I did jump on a train. I did. I went on the train, I did it. I'm very grateful that I don't have to go frontline in war. I can tell you that much. If it came the time that I was drafted into the front line in war, I probably would have to do that too, and I'd be scared. I'm sure people that are in front lines in war are scared. The problem is not being scared. It's just whether you do the thing or not. And in this video, I did it. This isn't anxiety. There's a difference between anxiety as like normal anxiety that everyone experiences and an anxiety disorder. I'll give them credit and say, in a short video like that, where it's few little things, you don't see the severity of it. So someone might sit down because it's hot. That doesn't mean they have an anxiety disorder, right? But if you are like obsessively afraid of that, and you do all of these things all the time, and it stops you from getting onto a tube, or it makes it a very uncomfortable situation, and you're very anxious and stressed the whole time, then that's could be considered a high level of anxiety rather than a healthy, normal level of anxiety. So, but who is this person to say that it isn't anxiety when it's just something that I'm kind of basing off my experience of having a diagnosed anxiety disorder? When I spoke to my therapist, like these are literally the points. So a lot of those are called safety behaviors: standing near the door, sitting down when it's too hot, staying on the phone, all this. And when you do exposure therapy, you have to stop doing those safety behaviors because they reinforce the anxiety over time, because they are anxiety behaviors. So yes, you can do those things and not have an anxiety disorder, but if they are like, a key part of your life, then that can be an anxiety disorder. The train, I had to tell my people I needed to get off and get off now. I had to breathe and calm myself down. It's real. Thank you for sharing this. I mean, there's a lot of people who struggle with trains, undergrounds, everything like that. And even for someone without anxiety, on a hot day or on rush hour, it can be an overwhelming experience. If you do it every day all the time, you get used to it. I'm getting used to it now because I'm using undergrounds way more than I ever did. But even before, let's say, I had a panic disorder or anxiety disorder, I didn't go on the underground very much because I didn't like it. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, and it's easy to feel trapped and to start, feeling like this. So it's definitely real. You are me right there in that moment. All the things I do, you make others feel not alone. Keep doing you, we shall overcome. Yeah, we have a whole community of us here, and that's kind of the key thing that I think is really important is like we're building this community of people who feel the same. So I always love comments like this, like it's like this solidarity, like we shall overcome. And yeah, just us talking about it, knowing that there's others of us out there, like you watching this right now, probably. I think that's really cool. Too hilarious if you get anxiety like this. I mean, I could just say that's rude. I wouldn't laugh at someone if they feel anxious. You might not understand it. You might not be able to relate to it. But just like I can't relate to being an asshole, I don't make fun of you for it. You know, I'm lucky. I'm just appreciate that I don't have to deal with having that kind of outlook in life. So, did that make sense?
Yes.
Totally can relate. Sending you a hug. Take the hug. Thank you. That's sweet. Wow, this is me. Sometimes I feel like nobody relates when I tell them about my anxiety or they don't understand. Thank you for posting. I think these types of videos are good because someone that feels anxious and doesn't know how to explain it maybe can send it to someone who like their family or friends who don't really get it. And then just the fact of them seeing so many people like going, yeah, this is me, it's going to help other people who don't quite get it to maybe have a little bit more understanding. So yeah, I think that's really good. There we go. It goes very fast. It's very loud, but it's quite cool. Still riding. And then once it's like, you start feeling like the jump. You know, you feel like the lift. You gain speed, you lean back. And there we go. You feel the pressure. The wheels go. The wheels close. I hate that stupid, because every time it sounds slightly different in the plane. It's all the noises going on, and I'm just filming the experience of takeoff. I actually really love the takeoff. It just feels so cool, like the speed, when you speed up, when you start taking off, it feels amazing. But when the engine lowers, when it starts making that noise, I always think like there's something wrong with the plane, and you can see in my eyes like I'm getting an alert. It's not like I could do anything in that moment, but I'm just prepare to die. So it's just quite a roller coaster of emotions. But always, with all of these videos, I always get really calm after the planes took off and the flight attendants start standing up, because then I'm like, okay, flight attendants wouldn't be standing up if there was a problem. And then I end up kind of enjoying the rest of the flight. How can people be scared of flying? So I actually think this is a good comment, actually, I'm going to say. So I have to kind of break it down. So first, I think the reason he's saying is how can people be scared of flying is because statistically speaking, flying is probably the safest form of travel. So there's always people who say you're not more likely to die on the way to the airport than in the plane. And that's true. But when you have an anxiety disorder, it's not necessarily like rational or logical in the moment. I like to call it kind of logically irrational, because you worry about things that kind of make sense. So worrying about being in a plane crash or something like that makes sense, because only people who don't go on planes don't die from plane crashes. Only people who go on planes die from plane crashes. So if you're really worried about plane crashes, for example, you'd probably rather be in a car on the ground, even driving yourself where you feel in control, than in a plane where someone else is driving, where there's all these other conditions. You're just putting too much focus on the different elements. So it's true to compare, like, okay, why be scared of flying when you're not scared of driving? If you have health anxiety, why are you afraid of having a heart attack when you're 20 years old, very healthy, and you just had a heart test and everything's fine, but you're not scared of crossing the street? You're way more likely to die crossing the street than a heart attack, yet you have health anxiety. Because it's not what is the most dangerous, it's what makes you feel anxious, and how do you interpret certain things, and what focus do you put on certain things. So he's right in that sense of, it doesn't make much sense to be scared of flying compared to everything else you do. So I'll get that. But another angle of this, I will just say, is for me, I'm not necessarily just scared of flying. I think for people with anxiety disorders, one of the main focuses when they go on the plane is the fact that if something happens to them, if they have a health condition, if they have this, then they're stuck in the air and they can't get off and go get help. And that's one of the main things I think people overlook when you're kind of scared of flying. It's not just about something going wrong with the plane. It's you are trapped in this thing up in the air, and if something happens, there's not much you can do. Take a bus, bro, from a PhD, from Dr. John McJames. Wow, I don't believe this is a PhD at all. It's probably just a fake profile, but take a bus. So the whole point of my page is about facing fears. If I was scared of flying and avoided flying, I would never get better at being able to fly. You have to give some room for if someone's afraid or has anxiety or has a problem with doing something, you have to give them space to do it and try. So just don't fly then. Just take that wouldn't solve the issue. I used to be exactly like you. I faced my fear of flying whenever I could and ended up wanting to be a flight attendant. Wow. See, that's incredible. Wanting to be a flight attendant. And I actually relate to that a lot because I am absolutely fascinated with kind of aviation as a whole. But it is really interesting. And I actually do love flying. And that's exactly why I'm continuing to try and do it. I have a lot of reservations. I have a lot of unhelpful thinking patterns like, oh, the more I fly, the more chance I have to be in one that crashes. Or the more I fly, the more chance something bad's going to happen. But I'm trying to realize like it's the same with everything else. Just because things can happen doesn't mean it will. And doesn't mean you should stop living at all. So I hope this person did end up being a flight attendant. Doing that this weekend, absolutely terrified, but excited to be able to say I did it. Well, if you're watching, please comment and tell me about your trip. This is awesome that you are sharing. People really don't understand it and it's hard, but when people share, it gives people hope again. Yeah, I think I really want more people to do that. Just for everyone's sake. I mean, it's just so helpful. Even for me, when I watch other people dealing with the same thing, I'm always like amazed just to see that other people go through it. It just makes you feel a little bit less alone. Money are Western world privileged, ignorant beings. But I respect you disorder. Stay positive. I am just helpless and envy.
This was one of the weirdest comments that I found.
That's so weird comment because it's like money are Western world privileged, ignorant beings. Whoa, that's tough. But I respect your disorder. Stay positive. But you're being so negative. But I'm just helpless and envy. So there's a sense of honesty in the comment. I'm just helpless and envy. So it's good that the person's being honest where the hate element is coming from. Privileged, ignorant beings. But I respect your disorder. So, I don't hate this person. I don't hate this comment. I don't know. I think it's so unique. So I'm guessing this person is saying they come from somewhere less privileged. I can acknowledge I'm very privileged in how my life is. I don't deny that. I'm not complaining ever about anything. Ignorant beings, I don't know about that. I will say, what people seem to forget is it's not just Western world privileged ignorant beings that have anxiety disorders and deal with them. Often do people all around the world, no matter where you kind of grow up and live from. And I even get lots of comments from people who say they come from a country where mental health is not even taken seriously, or they don't have lots of resources, or it's not like first world country, and they have all this anxiety and they actually have no system in place to get help for it. Or that if they said it to anyone, they actually would not be taken seriously or would just be like exiled in a sense. So anyone in the world can deal with anxiety, no matter what the situation. It doesn't matter how privileged you are, right? It's not something that is dependent on what your surroundings are. It is like, it's mental health. So interesting comment.
Yeah, it's like a thread that I noticed, it's kind of similar to the one where the guy's like, your ancestors died on the front line.
Yeah.
But like people see someone on a plane and they're like, oh, they're nervous about getting on a plane, but people are starving. It's like, well, it's not. They're both problems.
Yeah.
You can't compare them because they're completely different.
Yeah, but the thing is that like people that are in the not privileged place also get the same anxiety. Ultimately, the element is the physical effects and the fear is the same. Some people in a less privileged position have less anxiety than someone else who might you consider more privileged. These things are not like instantly measurable and comparable in that sense. It's different scales. Your videos are so inspiring to me. I suffer from anxiety, agoraphobia. Watching your videos make me cry. I will overcome this. If you can, I can. Exactly. If I can do it, then 100% you can do it. Probably better than me. And I suffer from... It's so weird because I actually never met anyone who suffer with agoraphobia like in real life. So I love reading these comments. Not because you have it, but just because I'm relating to you as well. Yeah. You have inspired me to book my first overseas holiday in 20 years. You are truly... I need to actually reach out to these people and see if they went on these holidays. That's amazing. Please leave a comment or I'm going to DM you or something. And we're going to see how your holiday went. That's so cool. Like, wow. 4 to 5 pints be grand. I've seen this type of comment so much on these videos actually. Like, oh, a couple of shots and be fine. Oh, this and that. That's called self-medicating. It's a very, very, very dangerous, slippery slope. That's a big no-no. Don't do that. It's even if you don't, let's say, become an alcoholic or something, which does happen. People self-medicate and then they turn to drugs or they turn to alcohol and they develop a problem with that as well on top. And that's just a whole road you don't want to go down. But even if you use alcohol to soothe anxiety and then go and do something like a plane, you didn't learn anything on that plane trip. The next time you don't have any alcohol, you'll feel even worse. So, no. I have never been on a plane. My anxiety won't let me, and your videos give me a kind of hope that maybe one day I'll get on a flight. I'm scared to death. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Actually, a few years ago, like I'd been on a plane when I was younger, fine, because I had no choice. I was a kid, and I was always scared of flying, but I did it. And when I got on a plane, I was fine. But these times when I became agoraphobic, and I was actually not leaving the house for years, I couldn't even think about going on a plane. And the first time that I had this little idea that I might go on a plane, I would look at planes going by, and I would imagine myself being that high up and not able to get off, and I could feel it right here, like it's absolutely horrible. Like I could not even imagine putting myself in that situation, but I still ended up doing it. And it's not like, oh, you're going to do it tomorrow. There's ways to make it step by step, but eventually you will have to take that step onto the plane and let the doors close. It might be scary, but that's when you're really it's gonna be an amazing feeling. It's gonna be better than any feeling like you've had before once you're able to overcome something like that. I remember that ending. Like I remember it, but I remember the end the most when I went with the shirt, because when it goes down, you kind of actually feel like, well, I kind of feel like if almost incredible. Does that make sense? Like, man, I just went through hell. You know, like, just get up. And it's like a bit of euphoria afterwards. So I told my girlfriend, whenever you notice that I'm going to have a panic attack, I don't want you to help me, and I want you to just film it. One of the reasons is because I want to actually see what it's like and see what I do, because you can actually learn what things are you doing right and wrong. But I want to be able, obviously, to share it. And I just want to see how I get myself through it. You can say I'm not doing the best things, like going on the ground, doing this stuff to kind of, it depends on who you're talking to, whether that's something you should do or not. That's just because I'm trying to feel something else rather than what's in my head and on all that heat, and I can't breathe, and I'm having a heat stroke thoughts that I'm having. So that's why I'm doing like the hitting and I get on the floor to kind of, because my heart's racing, I feel like if I walk anymore, I'm going to collapse. You saw, like, I put the screenshot because my Apple Watch caught that one, and you see, like, I'm not doing anything there, but my heart rate just suddenly spikes up. That just shows you how panic attacks are a physical thing. They're not just, oh, I'm feeling scared. So yeah, I think this video got a good views because people actually related to it, and people who had panic attacks, you know, they know what that feels like. And again, it's interesting to actually see that happening for real. The courage this takes to face it like this is massive. I was a victim for so long. So proud of you. This was unthinkable for me at one point. You're a legend, mate. Thanks for doing this. It really helps to get the message out there so people can start to understand how bad anxiety can get. Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate these comments. Yeah, well, I mean, these whole holidays kind of are like big exposure therapy holidays for me. The point of them was to face fears. Believe it or not, I'm not particularly interested in going anywhere hot or going anywhere like a beach, because I can't handle it. And as you can see, because stuff like that happens. But that is then the point. So because it's very hard to do, I have to do it. Yeah, I'm trying not to be a victim, even though things like that may happen. I'm still going through it. With anxiety, it's always unthinkable at one point until you do it. Thank you, Jess, for that amazing comment. I used to worry about people seeing my panic attacks, but it just happened that the way my life went, I ended up having loads of panic attacks in public and actually like asking random people for help. And it kind of like, that was exposure in itself, in the way that I just don't care. I don't care if someone sees me being anxious, having a panic attack. It's happened so many times. Most people, you know, they won't judge particularly. There's been times where people didn't get it and they thought I was on drugs or something, but that's another story. But I think the fact that I don't care anymore about that is very helpful in being able to show it, because not everyone, first of all, it's very hard to show this stuff. I've only caught, let's say, 0.001% of all my panic attacks I have. I think there's like maybe 5 to 10 videos I have of some kind of panic attack, less than that probably, and I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So it's really hard to do, but yeah, I think it's good. Thanks, Jim. Wow, I just said that, didn't I? What drugs were you hooked on? So literally, I just said this. I just said it about how when I had panic attacks in public, people like thinking I was on drugs, because I kind of look like this, and I kind of associate that with like someone who might be on drugs. But I have had where I had a panic attack at a gas station or petrol station, whatever country we're in, and then I asked these people basically to wait with me and help as I called the ambulance, and then they will ask me like, what did I take? I was like, no, I didn't take anything. I'm just scared and I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack, because the adrenaline going through you it's crazy. So I personally absolutely hate this comment. I hate this comment so much. I don't even know if he's trying to be rude. He might actually think like, oh, I've seen someone who is, I'm sure people that have had overdose or have had drugs or have done drugs before, I said had drugs, you can tell I don't do drugs, have maybe get anxiety after that. But Yeah, that's why we need to spread some more awareness, I think, as well, just to stop these kind of misinterpretations. Dude, you have come so far since I first started watching you. That's crazy. I mean, yeah, actually, I have definitely a lot. I look, 9 people agree, so there's 9 other people that probably been at the beginning. Yeah, thank you. So I really appreciate that because it is hard work. It is hard work doing all this, but I want to show that it's possible, and that's why I'm not like other anxiety people on there who kind of claim they have all the answers. If that makes sense, like they claim they have all the answers of how everything works. I don't say I have any answers. I'm literally just sharing what I'm going through and how I'm doing it. How I'm helping myself. So, yeah, thank you. Awesome. We've got a little guest. Got a guest today. Caesar, shall we see the next ones? This is... Oh, you all know Caesar by now. Boop, 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 boop. Caesar, read this. Read this one. He just wanted to show off his body. They must be saying that. They must be saying that that I look good if they think that I just wanted to show off my body. So I really appreciate that comment, and I'm very grateful for that comment. And so because it's implying that they think that I look good, because if I was like not looking good particularly, then they probably wouldn't say that I just wanted to show off, if that makes sense. So I really thank you very much for that comment. Just for transparency, it wasn't the case. I just took off my shirt because I was too hot. You are so strong. I find myself exhausted afterwards, so I just want to go home. Any advice? Ooh. I kind of find myself exhausted afterwards as well, and I did just want to go home. But I'd say the advice is, you got to remember in that moment when you just want to go home is like the pinnacle moment, because if you do go home, it's almost in a sense giving in. Like if it's time to go home, then go home. Like don't push yourself and torture yourself. But if you even have that little, if you just have that conversation, can I do a little bit more? Can I keep going? I just panicked. I was just, feeling upset. But would it benefit me to keep going? If the answer is yes, then use that to just push yourself a little bit further. And I promise you, when you do that, the anxiety is going to go down because you've been through the worst of it now and you're still going. That's just going to build so much confidence. And you just managed to film it as well. Very mysterious. So they're implying that I'm faking it, basically. I already explained it. So this is interesting because I saw a lot of these comments. There was even one on YouTube that was like, oh, so you just so happened to film a panic attack. So if you already know my channel, then this comment means nothing to you because you know that's what I do. But if I just have to explain it as I explained it in the caption, I asked my girlfriend to film whenever I have a panic attack because I have a panic disorder with agoraphobia, and so panic attacks are very, very, very frequent for me. Well, they were more frequent around that time as well. And the whole point of me being where I was a trip, an exposure therapy kind of trip to face situations where I would be most likely to panic. And therefore, it was very, very, very easy and likely to catch it on camera. Well, if you're hoping to get some high heart rate cardio in, I guess you managed to do that. That's pretty funny. Yeah, but that's the thing. Panic attacks, your heart is racing when you have a panic attack, and it's racing sometimes at like your maximum heart rate when you're just sitting there doing nothing. You're just, I can't breathe, and your heart's just going. That is the terrifying feeling. If you're doing exercise, you're expecting it to race because you have to. But this is like your body preparing you to do something, but nothing's out there to run away from. You're literally terrified of your own body's reaction. It's not a nice feeling. This is one of the best videos of panic. A lot of people confuse their anxiety attacks with panic. Way different. I also get bad ones during exercise. Yeah, I'd say I agree. I think there's definitely a difference of anxiety attack and panic attack. If you go deep into it, panic attack is like a definable thing that you can find in like the DSM-5. There's criteria for a panic attack. You have to have at least 4 of like this list of symptoms, which include shortness of breath, racing heart, palpitations, dizziness, tingling, numbness. If you get 4 more of those, and whatever the rest are, then that qualifies as a panic attack. Anxiety attack doesn't like clinically exist, but so it can be different for everyone. If you have an anxiety attack, it's just when your anxiety is very high and the symptoms are not sudden or abrupt. Panic attacks are sudden rush, sudden rush of adrenaline, sudden rush of impending doom, all these feelings happening. You kind of feel like you lose your rationality in a sense. Anxiety attacks are more of a slow, gradual build-up thing. They can last for a very long time. Not really a definable thing because it's different for everyone. But the easy way to say it is most people who have a panic attack probably had an anxiety attack just before that. So when your anxiety reaches a certain threshold, it teeters onto a panic attack. Just keep running, bro. You'll be alright. People get panic attacks all the time. Didn't have to film it. Well, I mean, I made it my mission to film it, so I mean, I'll take the response from all the nice comments who appreciate it being filmed rather than yours. People get panic attacks all the time. Yeah, I know. I get panic attacks all the time. You don't have to film yours, and if anyone else gets panic attacks, you don't have to film them. But I find it useful, and people that follow me find it useful. It's so comforting to know that I'm not alone before these videos. I never knew someone could experience what I experienced. My family doesn't get it. Yeah, I totally get it. That's actually what I felt. I used to feel, especially when I had depersonalization and derealization, I would didn't even want to tell everyone. And when I did tell people, they didn't understand. And then I just took this view that oh, there's something seriously wrong with me. I'm crazy. And I believed that for a few years when I was a kid. If I could have seen videos of people talking about this stuff, I wouldn't have felt that way. So I totally agree with that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and what other things do you do on YouTube? I don't know, just do it.